Welcome back to
That Bread Before Bed.
You're tuned in to another episode of Bread Before Bed, and we are in Genesis, the 13th chapter, and this chapter is subtitled Abraham and Lot. And it reads, "And Abraham went out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abraham called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham and the cattle and herdsmen of Lot and his cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled in the land then. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdsmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray. For me, if thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and behold the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou was cometh unto Zoar." So there is a lot that I want to pull out of this portion of text. We just came from the lie of Abraham. We just came out of the scenario where he lied to the Pharaoh in Egypt, telling the Pharaoh that Sarah was his sister, and the Pharaoh almost took her as a wife until God plagued the land and Abraham got caught in his lie and his wife was returned unto him. But I want you to understand this. The Bible says that a righteous man falls 7 times, but he get back up again. That means even in you trying to be a good person, you will make mistakes. So even in the midst of Abraham making the mistakes, when he got sent out of Egypt, the Egyptians gave him cattle, they gave him gold, they gave him silver. So even in his mess, he was still blessed. So with that being said, all those that were with Abraham were blessed. So as we see in this part of the story, him and Lot both had very great wealth. And they had so much together that it caused them to have to separate. It caused tension between their two tribes, their cattle and their herdsmen, because they couldn't dwell in the same lands together. They were in the Canaanite land, and to be in one territory, what means that their animals, their cattle would be hogging up all of the vegetation, all of the water supply in those particular areas, and there would be strife over it, so they had to separate. Now, I want to teach you something about Lot's character. Abraham gave Lot the opportunity to pick which territory he desired to take, but knowing the customs of the times, even though Abraham gave Lot the opportunity, because Abraham was his elder, he was supposed to respect his elder and give his elder the opportunity to pick the land. But instead, Lot made his decision based off greed. That means he was thinking selfish, and he was only thinking about what would benefit him. So when he looked around and scanned the land, he didn't think like, all right, Abraham, I'm gonna give you the best. He was self-centered, and he took what he thought would be the best dust of the land. So we see a faulty character in Lot, and we get a chance to learn from his mistake, and we get a chance to learn how we ought to put others above ourselves. And we learn that we're supposed to not just go by what the eye sees, but we are to consult with God before we make any type of decision. Also, we learned that Lot made his decision based on financial stability. That means he was looking at it as, this is a prosperous land. It's wealthy over here. We can make a lot of money. It'll be a lot of opportunity for us over here. And he made a decision based on greed and instead of spiritual well-being. And when y'all make decisions in life, when y'all make decisions on what school you want to go to, what job you want to work at and stuff like that, I don't just want you to consider the worldly benefits, but I want you to consider the spiritual benefits. I want you to think about, are there good churches in the area? I want you to think about, is this a sinful territory? Would moving in this place lead for me to draw closer to God, or will moving in this territory or going to this school or picking this job cause for me to drift further away from God? Because by Lot moving in this particular territory, he didn't consider his relationship with God, and it calls for him to be separated from God. And we have to know that God is our main priority, our relationship with God. So everything we do has to be centered around us growing in our relationship with God. So it don't matter about no money. It don't matter about no success. It matters about, are we going to be still able to grow in God in the decisions that we make in life? Continuing at verse 11, it reads, Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves one from another. Abraham dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the city plains and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. So I want to point out this as well. The Bible specifically said that Sodom was wicked. So as a righteous man, we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we're moving in extremely wicked territory, because the Bible says that bad company corrupt good character. That means if you hang around bad people, it'll end up influencing you, and you'll end up doing bad things just like them. And I want you to understand, which we'll learn later on, is that the Bible says that Lot pitched his tent near the city. So he didn't even go all the way in with the wicked people. But the more and more as time passed, he began to move closer and closer and closer. And that's the thing that happened with us as Christians. We'll hang around sinners, and then you will see us start to conform more and more and more, little bit by little bit, and you won't even be able to notice that you're getting sucked in, drawn closer and closer to sin. That means you'll start off, you'll go to talking like them a little bit, and then before you know it, you acting how they act and not remembering that you a good person, you a righteous person, you a godly person. So we can't even allow ourselves to start going close to sin, because we'll end up right in the midst of sin. And 14 reads, And the Lord said unto Abraham, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abraham removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So we conclude the chapter with another promise from God to Abraham. And basically what God is saying, God has minded Abraham of the previous promise. He made him look around the whole land of Canaan, and he was like, all that you see is gonna be yours and your descendants. And get what he said. He say, count the dust on the ground. You know how much dust, when you pick up a handful of dirt, can you count it? And he say, that's how great your people are gonna be.
This concludes another episode of
Bread Before Bed.
Chill.